he was often called, and Phoebus means light or bright. However, he was also sometimes called Apollo Helios, although Helios as well was his own god, the god of the sun, the personification of the sun. Apollo was connected with Helios in a worshipful way. Apollo's main domain, however, is music and poetry. I couldn't think of a way to personify that in colors and what I was wearing, so I went with the sun. In keeping with Apollo's music domain, one of his main symbols was the lyre. The lyre that he is often depicted with was the one gifted to him by Hermes. That Hermes made out of a tortoise shell. I talked about that in my last video, the one about Hermes. The story behind it is strange. Some attribute the invention of the lyre to Apollo, but some attribute the invention to Hermes because of that old story from the Homeric hymns. In any case, it is clear that Apollo was very skilled and very much enjoyed the lyre. This skill did get him into several musical contests, all of which he won, and many of which ended very badly for the challengers. Check this out. It's a bookend. I have two of them, but I only need one for today. Right? There was a king named Cinyras who promised to help Agamemnon during the Trojan War. However, he did not follow through with that promise, and so Agamemnon prayed to Apollo for revenge. This led to Cinyras challenging Apollo to a musical contest. Which Apollo handily won and subsequently killed Cinyras for losing. Another was a satyr named Marsus. This satyr was one of those short-sighted folks who like to brag that they were better than the gods. So, contest ensued. And by the end, Apollo was judged to be the winner. This satyr was gruesomely murdered for his hubris and made into a warning sign. The gruesome manner of his death was probably more because he also insulted Apollo, making fun of his long hair and his beautiful skin and saying that he looked womanly. Apparently Apollo was not a fan of this. The only account I found of someone challenging Apollo and living was the god Pan. I have to assume it's because he's a god. Anyway, they had a challenge, and by the end of it, again, Apollo won, and everyone agreed that he had beaten Pan fair and square, except for one man. This was King Midas, who, by this point, had become a devout follower of Pan. He disagreed and said Apollo's music was not as good. Because of this, Apollo turned his ears into donkey's ears, because he said, anyone who doesn't appreciate my music must have the ears of an ass. So, someone did get caught in the crossfire, but it wasn't Pan. Another of Apollo's domains is archery. He's called the far shooter. I don't have a bow and arrows, but I found this golden feather clip. It's a hair clip. It's so cute. Apollo had a golden bow and arrow that he was given by Hephaestus when he was born. With this golden bow and arrow, he slew the monster Python. Python was chasing his mother Leto when she was pregnant with him, and Apollo, from his mother's womb, prophesied that he would kill Python. And the minute he was born, he leapt out, he grabbed that bow and arrow, and he slayed the beast. Some stories say he did it with one arrow only, some say it took 100, but in any case, he took Python out. Python, aside from chasing his mother, was the protector of the oracle at Delphi, where Apollo was born. When Python was slain, Apollo took the oracle to be his own oracle, and she prophesied for him from then on out. Or I suppose I should say she brought his prophecies to the people from then on out. things have a cycle, both good and bad. One makes you appreciate the other, and each can offer new options in the situations faced. We got it upright, so that is what I'm going to read. This indicates luck, change, karma, and destiny. So, I take that to mean we are all headed towards our destiny. And that seems to be a good thing. I also have this. It's just very pretty. And laurels are another symbol that Apollo often has. Now, in the same way that Artemis was a protector for young women, Apollo was worshipped as a protector of young men. He is depicted as eternally youthful, with long, beautiful hair and clear skin, both indicative of the Greek idea of male beauty for young men. Young worshippers of Apollo would, when they came of age, cut their long hair and dedicate it to Apollo. Apollo also had so many children. years while Apollo was herding sheep for him. And he treated him so kindly and well that when his time was up, Apollo helped Admetus win the heart of the princess that he wanted to marry. Although Apollo had many lovers and many children, he never did marry. Which once again is a step up from the other gods who married and continued to have lovers anyway. Circling back to the children a little bit, one of his children, Asclepius, who I also talked about in my Hermes video, is part of the reason why Apollo is connected with medicine, because Asclepius became the god of medicine, and his staff is what we still use today as the medical symbol. It's the snake on the pole. He also had many children who were seers, and many who were musicians, such as Orpheus, and he also adopted two young boys. One was Zeus and Europa's child. The other was the centaur Chiron, who you may know from the Percy Jackson series as the teacher. He did go on to become a great teacher of the gods and demigods' children. The last thing to mention is there were two prophetesses who promised Apollo to sleep with them if he granted them what they wanted. The first was Cassandra, who wanted the gift of prophecy. She wanted to be able to see the future. He gave her this gift. She went back on her promise and rejected him. And so Apollo, along with the gift of prophecy, gave her a curse that no one would ever believe any of her prophecies. The other prophetess who did a similar thing was Sybil. She asked Apollo for a very, very long life, and when he did oblige her, she again rejected him. And because of this slight, he, while giving her long life, did not give her longevity, so her body continued to age and decay until she was nothing but her voice by the end of her extremely long life. Yikes. Apollo has a lot of other stories. He's a part of a lot of the other god stories and some of the heroes. He unfortunately is the one who killed Achilles, which I'll definitely talk about when I talk about the Trojan War. There's just so